All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today for Tails and Tackle, Vancouver Island. This is our inaugural episode, and we are very, very blessed to have Justin Booth with us. Justin has been a fixture on the Vancouver Island bass fishing scene for a number of years, and he hails from South Africa, where he was a force to be reckoned with in the leagues over there as well. Justin was also the winner of the most recent WFL event, Western Fishing League event, on the Icebreaker Open a couple of weeks ago. And we'll dive into a little bit of that as we get going. So welcome and thanks for joining me today, Justin.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So let's jump right into it. So in the Icebreaker, you came in with a really nice smallmouth at just under 20 and 3/4 inches. That's a really, really solid performance. I know that it was a fairly slow fishing day for a lot of folks. But yeah, so tell us about your approach for the day. Tell us your story for the day.
Yeah, well, they don't call it the icebreaker for nothing. So that tells you, in its own that it's cold water we're fishing. And I think, the nice thing about the icebreaker, you can kind of choose where you want to go and fish for the day, whether it's Shawnigan, Quesnel, Elk Lake. So, my decision was I'm not going to catch numbers. It was a big fish tournament, basically. So that was kind of the sort of mentality I went with, try and find one fish, and, also go to a lake where traditionally, there's some big smallmouth,
bigger fish,
largemouth in that fact. But I chose to go with smallmouth because I know the largemouth in elk at this time of year, the water was kind of around that 40-degree mark, which was pretty cold, and the largies really lock up and you just can't get them to bite easily.
Yeah, they're really temperamental.
Oh man, they're hard to. But the smallmouth, on the other hand, you're not going to get a lot. You've really got to hope for that small window and that you're in the right spot at the right time. And and that's generally they're starting to feed up for the spawning time now. The water's cold, as I said, at 40 degrees, but it's on that trend of warming up a degree, a week.
Yeah.
So it's heading the right direction.
Yeah, I think we're mid-50s now on most of our lakes, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it actually heated up pretty quick 2 weeks after that comp. I was surprised. We got up to the 48s, 49s. I could see the fish started moving a bit better. They got off those sort of deep winter spots. And so that's what I decided. I thought, okay, Elk Lake's going to be the lake for me. I want, it's kind of a gamble. Do I go for numbers? Maybe like at Shawnigan, we could probably get 3, 4, 5 smallies there. But I know it's
that's what I did.
Nice.
Yeah, we got a few fish, but nothing of the big fish variety. We were getting up to 18s and something, but nothing bigger than that. But I think you certainly dialed it in right for that day.
Yeah. So I know elk traditionally has got that big smallie that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And you just got to, I kind of went out. I didn't go out too early, like some of the guys maybe went out at the crack of dawn. I thought I'll just let the morning start. I think I was on the water probably about 8:39-ish. Let it heat up a little bit. It was a nice sunny day, actually. So that in its own, I thought, well, these smallies there's gonna be a time they're gonna get in and just come up and feed. I was fishing two areas, sort of a deep grass line, and sort of right in the mid lake. I think everyone knows that's those offshore spots.
Oh, don't tell anybody about the hump. That's a top secret.
That away. Yeah, so that was my target, not to run around, just to hunker in on these two areas, and
you gotta let it soak. You gotta let it soak and then come by. Yeah. So when the fish hit, was it? It's pretty cold water, so I don't imagine you got the big strike and run that we get kind of at this time of the year. But tell us about the pickup.
Yeah. So the first fish I actually got was off the deep grass edge. That was actually a nice fish. That was around a 19-incher.
Nice.
And at this time of year, I like to fish sort of bottom baits. Really tight on the bottom. Those smallies are pretty. They literally, snug to the
belly
bottom
belly
and
down. They're right on
you
the
know,
bottom. You can see
yeah,
the
on the bottom.
markings on their bottom from
Yeah, you can
sitting
actually
on the mud.
see the mud on the belly sometimes. I mean, I'm sure you've seen that.
Yep.
So I go for the bottom and like the tube baits, the Ned rig. I'll show you now what I was actually using, but I want that to be crawling on the bottom. It's very slow, and you know what? When you think if you fishing slow, you really got to slow down even more. You actually got to tell yourself, slow down. Yeah, just don't even move it at times.
Some of my biggest fish have been caught by sticking the rod in the rod holder because I got to go do something on the boat,
how
and
often.
then it's going like this,
I know, and how often there's an overwind or something's tangled, and you're
Yeah.
fiddling around trying to sort it out, and you get it sorted, and there's a fish. So
Yeah, cold
they
water
definitely,
patience.
yeah, they definitely are, especially a smallie will check the bait out, and sometimes if there's too much action in it, especially cold water, not interested. But if it just
Yeah.
sits there, they'll get around it and eventually have a go at it. So
Now,
so
did
that
you
was.
mention that you had the bait you were using? You have that handy to show us?
Say again, Eric?
You mentioned that I got the sense there that you had the rig that you were using on hand there to show
Oh,
us.
yes, yes.
Oh, sweet.
So anyway, I was using it's a made by NetBait. I don't know if I
Oh,
can get it to zoom in on there. Oh, there we go. No, yeah,
oh, there it is.
NetBait.
That bait.
There
There
we
it is.
go. Yeah. So I was using a little NetBait crawl. It's actually called a Packer Slim, which is a 3.5 inch crawl looking style bait. I mean,
Nice.
you can see it there. It's got the little tentacles and the
Yeah.
claws in there. And this one's actually got the bait fuel. I'm sure
Uh,
you've heard of the bait fuel.
Impregnated.
It's actually got it infused in the bait.
Nice.
So I mean, double whammy. And of course, I like to
Juice it up a
soak
little
it,
bit more.
double soak it, man. And let me tell you, and I've been using this bait fuel for all the comps, and it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Especially now in the cold water, you need that whatever extra you can give in that bait gives you a bite. So I was basically using uh, that bait, and I was using a little Ned rig head. So not too heavy, just a little. I don't know if you can see that
Oh,
now.
little guy. What is that like?
Yeah, small little
Is
guy.
that
Yeah,
is that not
probably
even
just,
an eighth?
yeah, I think it's an eighth of an ounce. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what I also like to do, obviously you can't do it in windy conditions, but it forces you to slow down as uses lighter Ned rig you can get away with,
Yeah.
because it also makes you slow down and you fish it slow on the bottom because you want that bottom contact all the time.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's why I like to get away with the lightest head that I can, put it that way. And
Excellent.
that's just soaking down there on the bottom. That smalley
Yeah.
has a good look at it. It just
Yeah.
stays around, man.
Yeah.
So,
There's some big fish in that lake. That's got a lot of nutrients, and they
oh,
size up in there. What do you find most challenging about fishing elk or beaver?
you know what, Eric? I think there's a lot of bait fish in that lake.
Yeah.
So, the smallies, I've never seen a thin smallie in that lake. I mean, they just, they feed well there. They're very, very keyed into the bait there. So I know they've got a lot to choose from there, food wise.
Yeah.
So that's another kind of a problem. They're really key on the bait. So yeah, that's kind of the downside of it. And they tend to stick right on the bottom. So it's difficult to locate them. And we've got the grass there, so they also hunker down and on the edge of that grass. And
And there's a lot of grass. I mean, that grass
yes,
is that weed edge goes around the whole perimeter of Elk Lake anyway, and
literally around that lake.
that's a lot of mileage to cover to fish.
Yeah. So you've
Absolutely.
got to kind of pick your battle, and decide where you want to do. And yeah, as I said, I was fishing a little point of grass, and probably I think the deepest part of that grass edge was in about 16 feet
Yeah.
of water. So I was just fishing and just off of that grass edge, and I've got that 19, and I thought, well, that's a good fish, hopefully I can. Then I was bouncing around that offshore. There's there's a hump there or two, and I was on the deeper one there, and probably about that 30-foot range.
Yeah.
It was weird, it was very slow going there. I fished both humps. There's one that's a bit shallow, one that's a bit deeper. But I stuck it out between the two, and then I got on that deeper hang. Must have been around about 10:30 in the morning, and the
So
wind
not
sort of,
too long. Not
yeah,
too long after you hit the water.
no, not too long. It actually happened fairly quickly, those two fish. And so I was on that deeper hump, get it down 30 foot, the lighter Ned. So, I mean, I really slowed down, had a couple of casts. I kind of went around it and put it down there. And I was dead sticking it. And I actually felt a very slight tap, and normally you
Yeah.
don't on those big smallies, you just gets heavy, loads up.
Yeah.
It's a light little, like a doop. And I thought,
Yeah. And
hey,
those humps,
what is that?
there's not a lot of stuff to get snagged on there, but
No. And I was actually getting here and there a little bite from, I don't know if it was trout down there, small trout,
yeah.
or, little bait fish. I mean, I can't tell you what it was. So I thought, well, maybe it's that. But then I sort of loaded up onto it, and I said, okay, this has got a bit of weight to it. And I mean, I just reeled
Nice.
into her, and the fight was on. It was
Nice.
just, yeah.
That's great.
I didn't think she was that big because, she wasn't pulling, and she just came straight up, straight up,
Yeah,
straight
it's
up. And
pretty cold water still.
yeah, still. So I didn't get a great fight out of the fish, but it was, I could feel when she was coming up. I thought, okay, well, there's not those little head shakes, from the smaller ones.
Yeah.
This was just solid and just heavy.
And heavy.
And
Nice.
this is going to be a fair size. And then when I saw, panic stations, I actually didn't
And
even go for the net at that stage.
yeah.
Until I saw, I thought, what? I better get a net on this one.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Scrambling, you're lucky you didn't lose it while getting the net.
Oh, I know, because I mean, you don't want to give it slack on those nets
No,
sometimes because
no, exactly.
they just pop out. And so
So
now I
that's
got her in the net, and man, I just thought,
that's
hey,
awesome.
I was full of eggs and
Fat.
just in great
They're
condition.
so fat right now.
Oh
Oh my
man,
gosh. That's
sheesh.
crazy.
That was super super good condition.
So that
And
hump in Elk, that's a pretty community spot. Did you were you
yes,
there by yourself, or did you
uh,
have other competitors or
there
other
was
fishers
one
there?
competitor there earlier in the day, in the morning.
Okay.
Then they moved off. I think they went in to go and try for some largemouth.
Yeah.
So I kind of waited for it to empty. I was surprised there was only the one boat there, and
Yeah.
normally, a lot
Boy,
of the
that changed now though. Holy smokes! I'm seeing on the socials. There's
oh
the largies are on fire right now.
yeah,
Or
I
have
saw
been anyway. So
that 8 pounder that came out today. I think, yeah.
yeah, was that yeah? And one of our guys caught that. That's exciting as hell.
Monster
Yeah,
thing, yeah. I think,
yeah,
well, I was speaking to the American Baitworks guy, out in Ontario today, and he was saying, I mean, from there they actually know about this small little lake of ours,
yeah.
and he was saying, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if a largemouth record comes out of this lake, and
I'm just waiting for a double digit to come out of it at some
yeah,
point.
well,
It's a big fish for up here, but it's gonna happen. It's
that's
gonna
gonna happen.
happen.
Well, we've
Probably,
caught a few
probably
lines, yeah,
it's probably going to be one of those that gets caught again.
yeah,
So I can
absolutely,
get one of those big largies before they drop their eggs.
yeah,
That'll be the
that's
10.
true. And there was a couple of nines last year, and those fish should be now
Yeah,
double digits almost. Some of them. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the water's heating up. I know. I was out on Quesnel last weekend,
Hmm.
and it was slow. I caught absolutely nothing. Fortunately, my partner caught something to get the skunk off the boat, but it was
Oh,
slow. But the next day, that was Saturday, Sunday, on the socials, I saw a bunch of guys are actually out and they started catching. And yeah, it's starting to heat up. I'm really looking forward to the event coming up on Saturday. That's going to be a
and it
banger.
just takes an hour. I mean, it's those fish just move in quickly, and you know there's those sort of feeding windows. Or they're coming in just to have a look, and then they back out again. And if you can catch them when
Yeah,
when they're on the move. I mean, that should be good.
absolutely. So we have that event coming up on Saturday, this Saturday, the 19th, up at Quesnel. So if anybody's watching this, get your registrations in and stuff. Justin, do you have any advice for folks coming to fish that? Now, I know you're fishing it too, most likely.
Well, actually, I can't. I'm not fishing this weekend, so you got,
so we
got
can
it to
actually listen
yourself.
to the advice and take it to heart. Excellent.
Yeah.
So, any advice for the folks coming out for the Saturday event?
Yeah, I mean, I would still throw something, similar to this on the bottom, slow. I use these halo rods, these XD3 Pros.
Sure.
I use all my finesse fishing. This is actually a 7-foot medium, and it's got a very nice backbone, especially with, if
Yeah.
you fish a tube, you can fish the Ned again, and it's actually not too soft, the rod. It's got a nice action, so you can just wind into it, and it sets the hook without, parting on the line either. So
Yeah.
I would try something slow, maybe this little crawl. I mean, these little crawls in Quesnel are pretty good,
Yeah.
they're definitely feeding on those, and I think that just adds to entice those smallies, So
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
I would probably do, and maybe some of those deeper spots. Just
Yeah,
there's some deep water close to the shallows.
it's going to be interesting to see where they move. This has been a real warming week that we've been
Yeah,
having
that's
and
true.
stuff like that. So awesome.
But yeah, wherever your deepest part of where the sort of drop offs and the deeper channels
Yeah.
are, just come out. Yeah, well, just come out into the shallows and keep looking. That's what I say. You just got to keep
absolutely.
searching. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I think we're coming up to the end of our time here today, Justin. I really want to thank you again for giving a few minutes of your time on a Wednesday evening to talk fishing. I know it's a real hard sell to
It's a
talk
hard
about
subject,
fishing.
isn't it?
I know it's so tough to talk about it. But just a reminder to everybody, get your registrations in for the event this Saturday. westernfishingleague.com is the website, and you can find us on Facebook as well. And again, thanks, Justin. And want to give a shout out to Black Label Craft Jerky. They're going to be, if you come out to the event on Saturday, it's my company, and they're going to be giving out free jerky bags with some open draws for folks. So that'll be happening at blast off time. Event start is at 7 in the morning. And launch fees are being covered by the league at this event. So a little bit of extra money to keep in your pocket.
That's great, guys. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and Justin, hopefully, if you end up winning another one of these events, hopefully it gets you out for another interview. My hope is to do these sorts of interviews post every event, so we can get the winners to divulge their secrets.
Yeah, I gotta become a better fisherman. That could be a problem, but this is a big secret of mine, and I mean, I'm willing to give it out, but man, it makes a difference. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, it's a terribly kept secret. I think everybody's using this stuff.
Throw you guys a bone.
So thanks again, Justin. Have a good evening, and we'll see you on the water, sir.
Yeah, super. Good tide lines for the weekend.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Cheers now.